In this video, we'll talk about solids and how they can interact with the Solid Toolbar. At View Toolbars, click Open the Solid Tools bar. And here it is. A solid is a volume that is watertight, meaning if you were to fill it with water, nothing would leak out. It doesn't have holes, it doesn't have reversed faces or overlapping faces or extra geometry. You can tell if a group or component, and they have to be a solid volume, it has to be a group or component. You can tell if it's solid by clicking on Entity Info, and it will tell you it's a solid group. And this is a solid group, as is this and this. If I had an extra piece of geometry in here somewhere, for example, like right here, and closed the group, and then looked at the Entity Info, now it just says group. It's not solid anymore. I have to get rid of that piece of geometry, and now it is solid again. I can use these tools to make interesting shapes with these by pushing and pulling them into each other and then performing what are called Boolean operations on them. For example, outer shell. I can combine multiple solids into one and remove interior geometry. What that means is that I could move this into this, and as this stands, this would not be 3D printable because they're two separate pieces. But if I were to select them both and click outer shell, it turns them into one piece that can move together and that I can 3D print. This is the intersect tool. If I intersect two pieces, and then I click intersect and select this and this, I am left with the overlap of the two parts. Union combines multiple solids into one, and it maintains the interior geometry, unlike outer shell that removes the interior geometry. For 3D printing, you'd want it removed because there's no point in printing all that interior geometry. Subtract subtracts one solid from another and keeps the end result. So I could move this over here, and then I have to subtract in a specific order because I get a different result if the order is different. Subtract this from this, and that's the result. Trim subtracts one solid from a second one, keeps the first and the resulting subtraction. So if I move these together, and notice there's no edge there, and then I'll click on Trim, I've kept both pieces, but I can move this away and I have the subtraction. Let me show you something else while we're at it. There's no edge here, but I can force one by saying intersect faces with model. And there I have an edge. And that's what happens if I remove it without using this trim tool. Then there's split. You can split two intersecting solids, preserving the overlapping geometry in groups. Let's see what that looks like. Let's move these together. And that's what happened. Let's make a very simple business card right now to show how solid tools can be used for something a bit more practical. I'm going to make a card, and let's round off the edges with the 2-point arc. And let's turn this into a group. We don't see group here in the context menu, but if we go to edit, we can turn it into a group there. And I'm going to hit move, press and release Control, make a copy, click on flip along to flip it along the red axis, hit the space bar to exit, and then I'm going to move this into place. Select both of these arcs, holding the Shift key down, activate move, press and release Control, and then let's hit flip along and flip along the green axis and hit the space bar to exit, and then move parallel to the green axis into place. I'm going to explode all the groups now. And delete these edges. Now I'll give this some volume. Make it a group. And the entity info tells me it's a solid group. Good. Now I'm going to click on the 3D text and type my YouTube channel. I didn't really pay attention to height because once I place it, I can put the scale tool on it and do a uniform scale and move it into place. This is also solid. It says solid component. So I have a solid group and a solid component. Therefore, I can come here to outer shell, click, click, and I have just joined these. So I can move these and they'll move as one piece, and I can 3D print it.